Hi, welcome to Talk 20 with me, Mike Kirk. Today we will be speaking to Kate Blake, talking all things NLP, hypnotherapy, business coaching, sales and empowerment, fear and failure. So let's bring Kate in. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
There we go. We're over the technical issues.
Excellent.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm actually in my loft, which is very warm today. But I don't open the window. We've got a mowing man outside, and it's very loud, so it does have to be closed.
No worries, no worries. So, thanks for joining us on Talk 20. Do you want to start, Kate? Just I've given a brief intro on you, what you do, what we're going to speak about today. But if you just from the horse's mouth, give us a background on you and your backstory and how you got to where you are with Kate Blake Coaching.
Okay, so I've basically had quite a long journey in life. We all do many ups and downs, been a bit of a roller coaster. But I started up, I'm coming up to 51, so born in 1969, and I was actually adopted sort of a week after birth. So I was taken into the children's home, and fortunately I was very, very lucky, and I got adopted very quickly. And I think it was probably about the end of 1970, so I must have been in children's home for about a year. I got adopted into a family in Birmingham, where I live now. I had a brother who was also adopted, and we had an absolutely lovely life. We were brought up by two teachers. They were just absolutely wanted children, and they just absolutely doted on us. We were brought up through church as well, so we were part of the Methodist Church, where they were constantly having lots of different activities for us to do. So youth clubs, brownies guides, brother did boys brigade, and concerts. We used to put on loads of concerts. My dad was a musician as well.
All the stuff we did in the 70s and 80s.
All the stuff. Funnily enough, they used to put on a men's concert, which was just men, like just dressing up as doing the women's roles. So these things you just would never see now. You would never see these things. So I'd gone through school, and I hadn't done very well at school. Unbeknown to everyone, I was dyslexic, but nobody really knew, because back in the 70s and 80s, people didn't really pick that up. So I left school thinking really I hadn't got much I could do. So it was a bit of my parents sort of tried to encourage me. I was very creative, so I was able to, I was very good at dancing, I was very good at sort of piano and things like that. So they were like, "Oh, well, concentrate yourself on that. That'd be fine. It'd be fine. It'd be fine." But I left school, so the careers lady telling me, "Oh, you don't expect much really out of life," and I left school with that thought. So life kind of went a little bit strange for me after that. Unfortunately, when I was on holiday with my parents when I was 16, I was attacked, and I didn't tell anyone about it. I came home, and it affected me quite deeply. I went and spoke to someone actually it was a rape crisis place in Birmingham that I went to speak to them, and they were the only adults I spoke to about it. So after that, I kind of spiraled a bit, and life spiraled incredibly after that, because my parents split up, which was just really unheard of in our community, really, for that to happen. And within a year, my mum had passed away, and I'd had a baby. So it all happened. So by the time I was 18, everything happened. My life had kind of gone a little bit haywire. The relationships didn't work. A few years later, I found myself again. I had another child, and then I was a single parent with no money. And so my life kind of led a little bit of a strange turn. I literally sort of medicated myself constantly by smoking so much cannabis that I could barely walk. It was just terrible. I was really, really bad, really low esteem. But I knew deep down in my soul that I could do so much better, and I had to, because I got children. I'd gone down some very dodgy career routes for a little while, which you can read in my book. Yeah, so really, really, really strange ones. I sometimes throw it in, but they did include sort of escort agencies and lap dancing and all that, because I was a good dancer, so it made sense for me to make some money somehow to pay the bills. So I ended up going down that route, but I realised that there was so much more I could do. So it actually went back to me in the thought of, I need to educate myself. And I started bit by bit educating myself, and going to college, doing courses. At first, I found it really difficult because I just couldn't finish things. I had real trouble sort of being consistent in anything I was doing. But once I learned that, and I managed to pass my first sort of exam, and it went on from there. I threw myself into humanities, and then I threw myself into construction, and counselling and coaching, and everything. So my life like literally changed by thinking of going out and educating myself. And during that time, I found out that I was dyslexic as well. So it all made sense,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
know, that these things had gone wrong for a reason at the beginning, because it wasn't really my fault, you know, although I'd felt stupid for many, many years, I realised I wasn't. So once I started doing construction, I ended up working on site as a quantity surveyor, and absolutely loved it. I couldn't believe it. The first time things had been given to me, turning up there for my first day at that job, and they said, "Oh yeah, there's a car outside for you," and I just couldn't believe it that I'd got a car involved in my job. It was like, oh my god, I can't believe I've really hit the big time. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that for a few years, but then we hit the recession, sort of in the late, was it 2008?
Oh, 2008. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we hit that recession, and the company went bust. So it was a big construction company, and it went bust. So I ended up going, just sidestepping into merchant supply, um, which I actually really loved. And I'd sort of started doing, looking after big sort of accounts. I was looking after a really big account. I think it was about £25 million. So it was just fantastic. I had a great time doing that. And I've stayed within supply chain since then, although I work with manufacturers now. However, on the side of this, as I was coming up to 50, and I think it's that strange sort of transitional period into your 50s.
It's a big
And
milestone. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there, and it was a snow day. So it must have been about February or March of it's a few years ago now. So it was probably 2018, 2017, 18. And I remember sitting there thinking, I thought I'm going to find out what it is. So I went and got myself a business coach, and we worked through what sort of I wanted to do for the future. I thought I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people sort of move out of situations that they might be in, or if they come to a crossroad, I want to help people to find their way, and also to help people with the experience I'd had in life and the ups and downs and hardships and the learning curves I'd taken from that. So I wanted to give back. So I told her my life story, and she said, "You're going to have to write a book about that." So I wrote a book very, very, very fast. To be honest, it was within a couple of, because I really had her on my back, and I literally used to sit there on my mobile phone and writing the notes. I would do sort of 500 words a day,
Yeah.
my notes, and just get that done. And my brother proofread it for me, and he was so proud. And we put it out there, and it hit #1 in 2 areas on the same day that
Oh,
it came
wow.
out. So I was just blown away,
Yeah.
and things were great. So I thought, well, I'm going to start looking at doing coaching. I'd done coaching within corporate before, sort of on sales and stuff like that.
Just a quick question, just whilst we're touching on the book. So obviously you got the book in, positioned in an area where you got people's attention.
Yeah.
So you've developed, your first base audience, if you like. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So what did you do with that audience from that point? Because obviously you've put your life into pages.
Yeah.
It's hit. It's resonated with a lot of people that have read it, because it's put you in that #1 slot.
Yeah.
So what was the response from the audience, and how have you maintained that relationship with the audience beyond the book?
Well, do you know, at the beginning, I was just so humbled by it. I didn't quite know what to do. So with all the money that I get from the book, which isn't a lot, you don't write off books. You don't make a huge amount unless you're J.K. Rowling or something like that.
Yeah.
So all the money that I get from the book, I donate to my local Black Country Women's Aid.
Okay.
It was because I wanted to give back to some people that had helped me back many, many years ago.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give the money back to them. So for them, I do take a lot of involvement within their organisation, and I go and do talks for them when they need someone to come and talk about sort of change and sort of survival and resilience and things like that. But with the audience that have read my book, I'm part of like a huge network of him. So this is like my fourth, and well, I did 3 interviews last week. So
Yeah.
I get asked to go talk about it quite a lot, which is again, it's humbling for me. And I get to sort of involve myself in a lot of groups of women. So I've become quite well known in my area of what I do and what I talk about. And I get lots of messages from people. I've got messages from people who were probably had things happen to them, or a family situation, or maybe were abused many, many years ago when they were children, and they'd never approached it before, and they'll come and talk to me about it and how it affects their lives and how they managed to move on.
You've provided that safe opening, if you like, for them to voice.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I mean, I had a gentleman come up to me and send me a message a few weeks ago, and he was in his 60s, and he said it's something that had happened to him, many, many years ago as a boy, that he'd never told anyone. And so it's just nice to reach and as a hand to say, I've been through this, and you can get through at the other end, really. So there's ways to sort of change things. So I do tend to turn up to places and be asked to talk, and which is nice, because I just think if I can help one person who's sitting there listening, who thinks, this happened to me and I was afraid to talk about it, if I can help that one person, that's right. Got to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. So there's three areas that I picked out from your site, as it were. So your NLP, hypnotherapy, and coaching, and obviously we'll leave coaching till the end because we want to come on to your fearless and fully booked ticket event. So hypnotherapy is one thing I'm keen on to know more about and whatnot. I as we briefly spoke earlier, it took me a while personally to realize that everything begins in the mind, and it really does. I think maybe it's an age and experience thing. When you're young, bit wilder and a bit less resourceful. So I personally, for probably the last 5-6 years now, do a lot of hypnotherapy through the online apps. I've had hypnotherapy done to me by a hypnotherapist in a very different environment, which we can talk about. So just tell me a bit more about your hypnotherapy, how you got into that, and the benefits that you see and the results you see from the people that you provide that hypnotherapy to.
Yeah. So I'm quite new to hypnotherapy, and it was an interesting thing because when I certified as a coach, which was at the beginning of this year, so I've done lots of coaching and mentoring within corporate before, but I wanted to change and do it sort of on a personal level. So I went off and did my NLP, my coaching, and hypnotherapy was involved in that. And I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, yeah, that sounds great, not really sure about that. And because I had sort of the idea of, what you see on television and people in a line and someone behaving like a chicken or something like that. So that was what was my perception. that was my perception of the hypnotherapy. So I was a bit like, oh gosh, this is going to be great. But I was massively sort of turned round on that idea because the guy who was coaching us, Ralph Watson, and I will be Ralph the Wolf Watson, and I'm going to be doing my masters with him, which will mean that I'll be going deeper into the hypnotherapy side. And I'm going into that now with a much better sort of standing than I did when I went the first time. So when we started doing it, as I say, I was skeptical, but I kind of realised that I'd got the wrong idea of it, really. And I found, I did one last night actually for a group of an international group, and I did a group sort of hypnotherapy then. And for what I do, it's very, very mild. It's very light. It's like a light trance. It's very relaxing. But what we're doing is looking at our limiting beliefs, and we're sort of meeting our inner child and thanking them for all the protection and help that we've had from them. And saying, but I've got it now. I'm all right. And so we did some of that last night, and I find it really, you find it affects people. And I suppose, everyone, I at first had a real resistance towards it when I started doing it. because I didn't really understand the benefits of it. And I see that within a group. If I'm doing a group session like I was last night, you're going to have a group of people that are really, really into it and really felt a benefit. And then another group that you think, well, I would have to probably work with them a bit longer because they have got the resistance. So I'd have to work out what their resistance is and work with them to sort of get into it. But in the same way that I totally get that. So I had probably, in fact, I had all of the ladies except for one, and the one was like, I couldn't concentrate and I couldn't. So it would be a case that we'd need to work a little bit closer on that with her, because in a group situation it can be different. And it was amazing to think last night that I had a group that some of the ladies were in Zambia, some were in South Africa, some were in England. It's mad to be doing something like that this time, you know.
That's good that your network extends that far through what you do and what you offer, because I think, like you say, a lot of people certainly around hypnotherapy are quite skeptical, and I was one of them. And the two reasons for that is, one, well, I first came across it when I was when we talked briefly before about, you know, acting beyond after you've peaked, as it were, in life. That I don't believe in that mumbo jumbo. It's all nonsense. It's all rubbish. You know, my mind's strong enough and all this kind of thing. And then I was going back to the chicken reference.
Then you got made into a chicken.
I not only was I a chicken, I had to be a chicken that was laying a square egg.
Okay.
and you know, I've been made to do that in front of 400 people, because it was, you know, I think it might be more than 400 people. It was like, when you come round, but joking aside, it was then I realised, I thought, what have I just done? I've just relinquished complete control to a complete stranger, and I'm stood here thinking, what on earth? And then, so I kind of avoided it from then. But that, although it was for entertainment purposes, the results stuck in my mind. I thought, that's powerful. That's, you know, that, and it stuck me throughout my whole life. And I constantly tried to keep it at bay. And then about 5-6 years ago, I was, from a work perspective, I didn't really know where I was going work-wise, and do I still enjoy what I'm doing? Don't I enjoy it? All this kind of stuff. I was struggling to sleep, and, you know, I was crippled with anxiety. I mean, you know, for anybody to admit it, and I think it's quite taboo in the male environment. No, we're not talking about that.
We're men.
But exactly.
That's what you hear, isn't it? That's what you hear.
Yeah, it is. It's just that male thing. And I think that man up statement is for me. It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
It's ridiculous.
I stuck by it back in the day, as you do, because, you know, you're this big strong guy, but no. And so I thought, and then all the feeling of being subjected to the trance state. Yes. I thought, what should I do? I thought, do I go and see someone? What do I do? I briefly spoke to the doctor about it. You know, this wasn't a situation that was really awful for me. It was just, my mind was, I couldn't really decide what I was going to do, where I was going to go. And then I turned to a few of the apps, and the results I got, as quick as I got them, were like, you know, that thought of laying the square egg as a chicken back in the day, that same thought, I thought, wow, if I can focus that into my daily routine,
of course,
life, and get some steer and some control back, it's got to be worth it. And as I say, at least 5 nights a week for the last 4, 5, 6 years, I do.
Oh, that's brilliant, and that's really consistent as well. So that's
well, that's the key, isn't it? Consistency, you know, I think.
Definitely. And I think, you know, our brains are like this amazing computer, and we just don't really tap into it very much. No. I work a lot with my clients where we talk about sort of our future selves and what we're, you know, when you're sort of sitting there, I sort of, we all have it, and we sit there like, what are we doing? Can we do this? And we, you know, we have these doubts, and then you think about, well, what my future self thing, you know, where I want to get to, what would that future person do at that point? And it's about being able to visualize yourself in the future of having what you want to have and the life you want to have, and sort of almost being in that moment. And it's a really powerful thing, because when I first did my coaching, when I first was coached for the first time, and we decided to write a book, that seemed so far ahead for me to actually have written a book. You know, that was, And I had to visualize me writing a book that would become a bestseller. But then I also had to visualize me coaching people on, around the world, like this, which again seemed like so far ahead. It just seemed so far fetched and something that would never happen. But it was the actual visualization. And I remember sort of sitting there the once thinking, actually coaching someone, thinking, God, this is it. I've done that now. That's what I imagined 12 months ago, and now I'm doing that. It's
and
amazing.
you're doing it, yeah. I think that the consistency thing is as well. A lot of the guys I watch, and a lot of the women in business that I watch, there's always a pattern, and that pattern is generally kicked off with focusing your mind on what's further ahead, and then just being relentless. Absolutely relentless, and the consistency. How you can't take your foot off it. Whether it works, I think the consistency will always go through peaks and troughs. The point is, you have to be consistent.
You have to have that belief, because there are so many people around you. When you go to set up a business, there are so many people around you that think, are you nuts? That's a risk. What are you doing? And quite often it's the people that are the closest to you that you would hope for the support, and they just think you're absolutely bonkers and you're taking a risk. And it's about having that clear vision yourself and just continually going on. My coach said to me recently, what if this doesn't work out? Yeah, I know you're testing me, and I was like, of course it's going to work out. I haven't, that there's no chance it's not. I don't even consider that anymore, because I'm consistently doing the actions, and I'm consistently doing it. I need to do to get to where I want to be.
That's right.
Really, it's health thing, isn't it? For me, when you get to our, I can say that, our age.
Yeah.
When you get to our age, you kind of think it's a different thing. Like it's not like I just want all the fancy clothes and I want to doing this and that. I want to be having a healthy lifestyle. I want to be be able to look after myself, making the choice I want. I would be helping people, putting value into people's lives. But also having the time to have that family time and to sort of enjoy my life as well. The sort of the way we work, and as we mentioned earlier, that it may be changing the way we work, but the way we've ran around for the last sort of decade or so, it's just madness. It's just not,
it really is. I've got a few business colleagues that are in different sectors that have done extremely well. One of the things that they just around the consistency thing is, which one shall I use as an example? So one of my is actually an old friend, but a business colleague too. He's been very successful in property, very successful. I mean, I think he's well over the 200 property mark at the moment. But he bought his first investment property in the late 80s when the property crash when the interest rates went through the roof and repossessions were commonplace back then. And he's just continued and continued and continued. And he's constantly he goes all over the world to all the property conventions, all the events. I mean, still, the guy's an absolute, as far as I'm concerned. I don't really like using the term expert, because I think the word expert is bandied around too loosely at the moment for my liking, because I'm a big believer in we're always learning every day. So as long as you're constantly learning all the time, how can you hit that expert thing if there's no ceiling? Brain surgeons, yes.
What is perfection?
So brain surgeons, I guess that once you've learned every single intricate area of the brain, from an operational point of view, I guess you're an expert. But in the commercial world, because trends are moving all the time, you've got to move with them, and that means you're constantly learning. But he goes around, so he goes around the world all the time. As I say, he's got a mixture of commercial and residential properties, well in excess of 200. And I said to him, when will you stop? When is enough? When will you stop? And he said, well, but it's all I've ever done. I just have to be consistent. That's what I do. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And then one of the things that really, again, made me switch on, I thought, he's financially solid. He really is. He's financially solid. He's always chasing the deals, constantly chasing the deals all over the world. And he said to me one day, he said he was talking to his mentor, and that struck me. I thought, and I said, you've got a mentor? He said, yeah. He said, oh, absolutely. He said, everybody should have one. Yeah. And that kind of, I mean, this was a few years ago, and it kind of, again, gave me a shake. And I thought, wow, just because you get up to these positions with this, you're generating all this revenue and all this success, and your businesses are growing exponentially and organically, and yet you have still got someone keeping you on track. And he said to me, and he turned around, it's as true as I'm sat in front of you now, and he just said, but without him I wouldn't be at 200 plus properties.
Exactly.
And I thought that's quite interesting.
You always need, I mean, at the moment I've got my coach that's training me on my coaching sort of methodology side of it, so I'm just about to embark with my master's with him on 1st of June. But I've also got a business coach, and I've got someone sort of working with my social media as well. So I've got different people doing different things, because I've taken, especially, I mean, I've had a coach on and off for the last few years, and you change because sometimes your requirements change, and as you step up, you need someone that's slightly different or different focus. So I think it's just so important to invest in yourself, to have someone that's going to be there to push you and drive you. I mean,
that's my slogan, incidentally. You owe it to yourself to invest in yourself. You've
got to invest in yourself. You've got to. And I mean, my husband can sometimes say, oh, will you stop sort of paying out for things? If I don't, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to sort of move forward in the way I need to, and have the focus and drive that I need. So it's been, to have a coach for me has been life changing. It's changed. I would have never, if I'd just continued down sort of the corporate road and just doing a job, I would have never written a book.
No, and you're just getting that.
Never done it.
That comfortable lane.
Do you know what? And it did push for. This is an interesting story, that the company I was working for at the time that I wrote the book, and I'd gone for my appraisal back in the April time. So it was before the book was written, and it was in my head to write at this point. And they'd said to me, so what do you want to do in the next 5 years? The usual question. So I said, I don't know. I want to. I'll continue smashing the sales. But I might like to do some mentoring, and help people with my experience. And the answer I got was, you can't do that. You can't do that because you're down here. You've got to be up here like us to do that. But you're down here. And I sat there, and I'm like, really am a polite person, but obviously in my brain I was like, what? So I was actually sort of sat there thinking, God, so I don't even know how to respond to that. The fact that you kind of all think you're up there and I'm down here. I mean, what's all that about? So,
and the thing is that the truth is, those people will be in that same position in 20 years' time.
Exactly. And I went and wrote the book. I had to leave in the end because the book probably did actually. They didn't like the fact that I wrote the book. They said they did, but I don't think they did, because I think it rose my head above the. Who do you think? I did get asked before I left, who do you think you are? So I thought, well, first of all, I'm down there, and now who do you think? But what for me, the writing of that book was so important to me, because last year, it was March time, my brother, who did all the proofreading for me, he was driving from one appointment to the other, and he was on the M42, and he had a sudden heart attack and just died like that. I'd been talking to him a couple of hours before this happened, and it was such a shock. There was no health issues that we knew of, it just suddenly happened. And I can remember when he'd read the book and he'd phoned me up sort of just after, in tears, saying, this has just so touched my heart, this book, and the memories that I've had flooding back about our family and our childhood and all those sort of things. So for me, it was so important that he's in that book, and he will be forever in that book.
Exactly.
It's so important to me. He was the last one member of my family that I grew up with, my adopted family, to be around. So he was the one who saw that book, and he's the one that read it. So for me, not only the fact that I may have had to leave a job because of it, and then I found another one straight away. I've got a decent reputation, and to be honest, people who will see that I can do various different things as well, always want to employ you, but in the long run, my heart is in the coaching, so that's where I
Yeah.
will be taking it for the future, and helping other people to inspire them to sort of do better and build their business.
You should invite your appraiser onto one of your
Yeah,
courses.
I should do, shouldn't I? I really should do. But that was
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was it was shocking, absolutely shocking. I mean, I would never do it, and it's great because I couldn't even have written or made up that story, because it's
yeah,
great for me to talk about when, you know, you have people in life trying to push you down, and especially sort of sometimes in corporate businesses, and sales is quite a tough business anyway. But people don't like you, sort of, you know, who do you think you
no,
are? What are you
that's
doing?
right.
Just
Yeah,
get back
yeah,
in your
yeah.
box, you know.
Just break
So
free. That's all you
it
can do
is,
is break free. Yeah,
yeah, but it
yeah,
pushed me. Although I remember driving home that day after that, thinking, what just happened then? What happened? You know, what on earth was that about? But
yeah,
it drove me even more to sort of say, well, you
yeah.
know, that I don't need to hear that. That's really, and I
No,
would never ever dream as the lead, you know, if I was leading in a company, to speak to someone like that in the first place, because it's
no,
just,
you just don't. You just don't.
it's not good.
Anyway, listen, we've got a few minutes left,
Yeah.
slightly over. So just to close, fearless and fully booked. Tell us
Yes.
about it. 3 minutes, go.
3 minutes, my new 90-day program that I'm doing. So it's a one-to-one. You get 60-minute calls, 60-minute calls every week for a week. And then we get every 2 weeks. We're going to be doing mindset coaching. So we're working on the mindset, building your confidence and squashing those limiting beliefs. Because when you start your own business coming out of corporate, it's really scary, and it's very difficult to learn to sell yourself. So we're going to be learning sales as well, to sell ourselves, being able to do, I'm going to be using all my NLP, my hypnosis and timelining with that as well. So everything that I know will go into that. There'll be contact all through that. There'll be sales coaching, doing ideal client positioning and strategy. But on top of that as well, we're going to be doing, you get social media work. So to get to work with one of my colleagues who's doing social media, so they set up your website, get everything in the right place so that you are ready to go and fill your diary up with all your new clients, because it is tough coming out of corporate and making that transition.
Yeah.
Because it's great and easy to hide behind your companies, but when you've got no one to hide behind, you know, we need to give you that, take that fear out of the sales and bring those clients to you. So that is my new 90-day fearless and fully booked program.
That's a fabulous name. I'm going to look out for that. That's a fabulous name. Yeah.
Fearless and
So
fully booked.
just before we go, if there was one piece of advice you could give anyone that is thinking of branching out on their own, or you know, even coming onto one of your events, what would that be?
Just don't overthink it. Just do it. If you feel that in your heart that you're ready to do something, just do it. Because I think you can spend so much time overthinking things, and you know, you will talk yourself out of it. If you feel in your heart you're ready to go and move forward to do something, just do it. Because that day that I decided that I could do better for myself, going back to the 1990s, when I got 2 little boys fighting upstairs, and I was thinking, what am I going to do in my life? If I hadn't made that decision to move and to do something at that time and to go out and educate, I would be in no better situation now. So do it.
Fantastic.
Don't think too much.
Totally agree. Absolutely agree. Right. Well, on that, we'll end there, Kate. So thank you very much.
That's lovely and great to speak to you.
And you, and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay. See you later.
Cheers. See ya. Bye now. So that was Kate Blake from Kate Blake Coaching. Great interview, amazing story, amazing woman. Obviously very strong and focused. Keep your eye out for Fearless and Fully Booked. Use the lockdown to jump on that course and reap the benefits that Kate Blake has to offer. On that note, I shall leave it there. Thanks for watching.